voice for everyone. KSHB 41 News starts right now.
There are $74 million plans to redevelop part of downtown Kansas City, Kansas. We're going to go over the details of what we know ahead of a presentation of those plans coming up tonight.
Plus, Kansas lawmakers will vote on overriding a decision from Governor Laura Kelly. We're going over the details of their disagreement and what has to happen to override that veto.
But first, we are still dealing with the aftermath of storms from over the weekend. Many of you have probably seen roads that look a lot like this.
Yeah, and maybe surprised you when you got to them in some cases. The National Weather Service expected to survey damage from the flooding over the next couple of days. Not just rain over the weekend, obviously, either. Take a look at these pictures and videos sent to us from some viewers. Randy and Justin, you can see funnels forming in Worth County and near Skidmore, both on Friday. The skies were really, really scary on Friday in several states.
Let's just get to meteorologist Lindsay Anderson. This weekend, we just were weather aware the whole time. Is this a calmer week ahead?
Unfortunately, I wish I could say so. I do want us to be a little bit more vigilant with a couple of days this week, Tuesday and Wednesday, specifically tomorrow.
All right, Lindsay, thank you. Tonight, we're going to learn plans for the nearly $74 million redevelopment in downtown KCK.
Let's get to KSHB 41 News reporter Elise Schoenig joining us in studio, sharing what we know already about these plans. And Elise, these are already renderings we've seen, right?
Yeah, exactly. So we already know that this plan will call for mixed-use redevelopment of properties. That's going to be near the intersection of 4th Street and Minnesota Avenue in KCK. So we'll give you a better look at some of those renderings released. The development group wants a 12-story residential tower that'll have 248 apartments. The goal is that they want this to reconnect 4th Street between Minnesota Avenue and State Avenue, which would create what they're calling a walkable market. That's just phase 1. Phase 2 would include additional low-rise residential buildings that'll come with a parking garage and a public green space. Now, if this is approved, developers would want to start building next April, so 2025, with goals to complete by April of 2027. Now, the developers plan to cover about $53 million of this project, so that obviously leaves $21 million, which they say would come from tax increment financing, tax abatements, and, quote, other incentives. More details will come from a KCK and Wyandotte County committee meeting tonight, and that'll be at 5 p.m.
All right, Elise live in studio for us this morning. Elise, thank you very much. Later today, sticking on the Kansas side, the state Senate will decide whether to override Governor Kelly's veto of a state tax plan.
The Kansas House already did that. The tax plan includes cuts and restructuring regarding income taxes, property taxes, and sales taxes, and would cost the state over $1.5 billion over the next 3 years. It previously passed unanimously in the House and had bipartisan support in the Senate. Governor Kelly says it jeopardizes the state's future fiscal stability.
To override the veto, the Senate needs 2/3 to vote in favor of that bill. We'll keep track of that for you. Also, today's the deadline to apply for a micro license for cannabis-based businesses in Missouri. These licenses are typically for smaller businesses in the industry. There are 2 types of licenses available: dispensary licenses and wholesale. Essentially, a micro-business dispensary is licensed to sell marijuana product for medical or adult use. A micro-business wholesale facility is involved in the process of cultivating or manufacturing marijuana products. That's the difference. The Division of Cannabis Regulation is giving out 144 of these licenses to applicants who qualify as a social equity applicant. There's a list of the qualifying criteria on your screen right now. Some of that criteria includes a net worth below $250,000, being a disabled veteran, even graduating from an unaccredited school. Applicants must meet at least one of the things on the list. You can find more information on the website for the Missouri Department of Health and Senior Services if you're interested.
2 people were hurt in a train derailment. This happened near Unity Village. You're looking at videos and photos near the scene from the Jackson County Sheriff's Office. It happened just before 1 a.m. Sunday morning on the tracks between Reinhardt and Northwest Colburn Road. Lee Summit firefighters say they found 12 to 20 cars on their side. The cars didn't have any hazardous material. The engineer and conductor have minor injuries.
5:05 on your Monday. You might see some buildings around town lit up in blue today. Here's why. Kansas City Mayor Quinton Lucas declaring April 29th as World Wish Day. It's a way to acknowledge the impact the Make-A-Wish Foundation has made on our community. In fact, the Kansas City chapter of Make-A-Wish has granted more than, listen to this number, 10,000 wishes since it was founded in 1983. What a legacy, right? In honor of the proclamation, Make-A-Wish reps will be celebrating at Union Station this morning. You know, we get some of those stories every now and then, not obviously 10,000 of them, but there's just so many amazing things that organizations do.
It means a lot to those families. It really does. All right, 5:05 this morning, we're going to get a post-NFL draft update today. You made it through.
I've got some thoughts.
Not an update from him. Chiefs General Manager Brett Veach.
The guy
is going to tell us what he thinks about it.
With a much better opinion than mine. Still to come at 5:22, we'll go through an overview of the team's newest members after the draft.
But first, the Parade of Homes is back in KC. We're going to hear from one of the builders about options he's seeing new potential home buyers pursue. That's at 5:10.
And at 5:18, our Marlon Martinez showing us how an abandoned school is being transformed into luxury apartments. Keep it here. Welcome back. Parade of Homes back in Kansas City runs through May 12th this year.
Yeah, we caught up with the president of one of the home builders involved with Parade of Homes, and he says with interest rates staying at about 7% and low inventory for all kinds of homes across the country, some potential home buyers are turning to new home builds as an option.
One of the best things in a community is to build something that people can afford to buy a house in. They invest in a community once they've purchased a house. And it also, we feel like owning a home is probably one of the best wealth builders that anybody can do. So we really focus on the lower price points in new homes.
So that builder has new homes starting at $289,000 when many comparable homes, he says, in the same Lee Summit area start at $400,000. The homes that are a part of Parade of Homes are open daily from 11 to 6.
You can find a list of those homes on the Parade of Homes website. As you can see, there are a whole lot of them. Lots of options for size, location, and price. We know there's a lot of people in the housing market right now, but if you're looking, this might be an option.
Fun. All right, 5:10 this morning, and we've got thunderstorms and rain pushing to our east, which means a calmer day is ahead for us for one day. Then storms are back. We'll talk about what you need to expect this week after this.
And the Kansas City Chiefs have their newest draftees locked in.
Locked in. Still to come at 5:22. Our Mackenzie Nelson introduces us to a new draft class.
And the old Westport High School has reopened their doors. Coming up, I'll show you how this historic site is now the home of new beginnings.
Here's your latest Kansas City forecast from meteorologist Lindsay Anderson.
Welcome back, everyone.
All right, Lindsay, thank you very much. It's been more than a century since the old Westport High School building was built and more than a decade since it closed its doors. But now the old high school is starting its next phase as something completely different.
KSHB 41 News reporter Marlon Martinez joins us live from outside of what is now Park 39 Apartments. Marlon, this is an area that has been empty for a while.
Yeah, hey, good morning, Taylor and Lindsay. Abandoned for so long, but with the addition of this new apartment complex, their goal is not only to revive this whole area, but also fill the gap with a need for more housing.
The old Westport High School has reopened their doors, but this time not as a school.
As we go back through here, you can see the bedroom area.
Instead, now it's Park 39 Apartments. Andrew Brain and his team converted these old school grounds into 138 residential units.
We don't want to lose our connection to the past and the history, and that it was a school. It was something different. It had its former life before this rebirth. We left a lot of these carvings of people doodling, like there's an E and a CD, and, you know, people carving in their names or various little doodles in it.
Keeping its rich history.
And over here, we've got the orchestral. We call it
from the original wood floors and walls, and even the school's auditorium.
So we saved the icon from the old auditorium curtain. We cut it out.
When residents walk through the halls, they're not only getting a glimpse of the past, but a look towards the future.
So when you reactivate a space like this, then yes, you do see an uptick. You will see, and there's studies that show this, that you'll see other investments. You also just see a sense of pride from the neighborhood.
Chip Walsh, one of the co-developers, says with a market need for more housing, they hope it fills the gap while revitalizing the area.
This has been an important part of the community for decades.
While also tackling other issues in the market.
We've tried to address, what we call market affordable. Something that's affordable for the everyday person, something that's affordable for the students in the area.
Now, when we talk about market affordable, that means prices here start for a one-bedroom at $885, and that is the lower average here in the Kansas City area. But for that price, you're only getting a one-bedroom that is around 300 to 500 square feet for that price. Now, units here have already started leasing. Back to y'all.
All right, Marlon, thank you very much. Beautiful inside there. I know a lot of Westport High grads glad to see the building is sticking around like that. Westport High, just one of many old KCPS schools that is closed. I mean, something we've been talking about for well over a decade. I remember covering when they decided to close half of those buildings. A lot of the schools being repurposed in some way, and they have had for a long time this website that goes through all of those buildings. It'll say things like sold, future KCPS use, future KCPS use. Look at all the ones they have sold over all of this. We were just talking about one of them that is back on the market, Scare It, at 3509 Anderson. They're actually going to have an open house and talk about potential plans for that coming up as well.
This morning, 19 students from the Kansas City Art Institute will start work on murals on the west end of the Berkeley riverfront. Part of a partnership with Port KC to commission Missouri River-inspired murals along the Riverfront Heritage Trail. The students will be in the field from 8:30 to 11 this morning, or 11:30. They're expected to be working for the next couple of weeks on completing those. Just another example of projects taking place to develop the riverfront. Last week, KC Current, of course, released these renderings of the team's massive vision for a mixed-use development near CPKC Stadium that's going to be built in phases over the next several years. The Current say they're going to put in $200 million of private funding to make this work, but the total price tag of the entire development, more than $800 million. It includes multifamily residential units, a new town square, what they're calling a riverfront promenade, local restaurants. 10% of the units, they say, will be earmarked for affordable housing. Developers hope to break ground on that first phase this calendar year with the goal of having the area closest to the stadium finished before the start of the World Cup, which is just over 2 years away from right now, summer of 2026.
All right, KSHB 41, you're home of the Chiefs, and we're going to hear from Team General Manager Brett Veach today about the outcome of the 2024 NFL Draft.
We nailed it. Every expert says so, apparently. His post-draft recap will be at 11:30. We'll be sure to share what he has to say. One member of the Chiefs' head office we did hear from is Clark Hunt. He says when he looks at new draftees, a lot of excitement.
One of the things that they always mention first is the opportunity to play with Patrick and how excited they are about that. And they obviously know about Andy Reid's history as one of the greatest innovators offensively in the National Football League. So I think there's a lot of excitement in coming into the Chiefs. And, you know, being back-to-back Super Bowl winners doesn't hurt as well. It's a pretty special opportunity for those young men.
Who wouldn't want to come play with us, right?
Kidding. That's the weird thing about the draft is you do all this work and you don't know where you're going to end up.
Right.
Imagine landing in Kansas City where they've got rings. For those who missed the draft, there are 7 new members of the Chiefs roster added this weekend, without counting the undrafted free agents.
Our Mackenzie Nelson introduces us to Kansas City's newest draft class.
This NFL draft, the Chiefs really needed to find some diamonds, right? Players that can provide some pressure right away. Starting with first-round pick, wideout from Texas, Xavier Worthy.
I've been saying this since the beginning of the year. I'm going to the Chiefs. Everybody thought the NFL was never going to let the Chiefs get to me.
Trading up for Worthy, the Chiefs did it again in the second round to snag BYU offensive tackle Kingsley Suamataia.
Blocking for Patty Mahomes himself, oh my, it's mind-blowing, but, you know, I'm going to have to come in there and, you know, let him trust me like, I got you.
Sitting out the third round, the Chiefs were back at it again in the fourth, picking up TCU tight end Jared Wiley, who can sit behind one of the best.
You know, I felt like for developmental purposes, you know, I thought that was going to be the best fit for me.
2 picks later, Jaden Hicks was still on the board. The safety out of Washington State fell right into the Chiefs' lap.
And I'm so thankful to even be on this team and, you know, get picked up by the Chiefs. You know, they're the Super Bowl champs, so I couldn't have asked for a better outcome.
On to the 5th round, Penn State offensive lineman Hunter Norzad can provide some flexibility.
Chiefs have an extremely talented team and offensive line room, so I'm really excited to just get to kind of learn from all those guys.
The Chiefs then picked up a 6th round safety. Kamal Haddon of Tennessee is Steve Spagnuolo's newest defensive weapon.
Man, I think I'm a guy that can come in and compete and make plays. You know, I think I can bring a lot of energy to this defense.
Rounding out the Chiefs' 2024 draft class is guard C.J. Hansen out of Holy Cross.
Back-to-back Super Bowl winning teams, so, you know, there's a standard there, and I'm going to have to, you know, definitely get to that standard.
With the Chiefs, Mackenzie Nelson, KSHB 41 Sports.
Winning a Super Bowl.
You can feel how excited they are. We love that. Dreams coming true for several local draftees this weekend, too. As you can see from this list, Wildcats, Jayhawks, and Tigers well represented this year.
Across all kinds of rounds there, too, throughout the draft. The Chiefs inducting retired defensive end Tamba Hali into the team's Hall of Fame this fall. That's a great announcement over the weekend. He spent 12 years in the NFL, all of them with Kansas City, had 89.5 career sacks, second only to Derek Thomas promise on the team's list. Here's what Holly had to say about going into the Chiefs Hall of Fame.
It hasn't really hit me like it should. But being around the people that surrounds me today, my family, some of the people I came up here with, it's they're proud of me, and I'm sure my dad's proud of me. I'm sure my coach from high school, he's really proud of me.
Just incredible, and they didn't have to look far to find him. Holly and still lives in Kansas City with his wife and 5 children. Congratulations to him.
Still much beloved by Kansas City and Chiefs Kingdom, that's for sure. All right, 5:24 this morning. Royals headed to Toronto today. Start a new series against the Blue Jays. Coming off a loss to the Detroit Tigers, a couple of them.
Can't win them all.
Pretty good.
Can't win them all.
Come on, the team's still well over 500 for a win, and it's almost May. Let's go. 17-12 record. Hopefully they'll be able to add another win to that record tonight. Game's at 6:07. We're going to have it on at our house.
I am not going to be able to console you enough if they don't. So that's
When I'm overcome with happiness because they're well over 500 all year. Come on.
That's right.
That's right. All right. The WWE's Monday Night Raw coming to the T-Mobile Center tonight.
Do not hurt yourself. We've got an hour and a half left of news here. It'll feature a number of wrestling stars going at it, plus the WWE's 2024 draft.
There's a draft?
Which I did not.
How did you not know?
Shocked right now. Didn't know it was a thing. Festivities get started at 6:30 tonight. You can get tickets online at the T-Mobile Center's website if you want to head out there. Before the Monday Night Raw action, a few wrestlers will be stopping by Children's Mercy to spend time with some patients, too.
That's lovely. Undisputed WWE champion Cody Rhodes and WWE superstar Liv Morgan will be in the hospital at 11:30.
That's really cool.
Yeah, it is. All right, 5:25 this morning. A live look outside. Should be calmer to start your work week. What a stormy weekend. We're getting a little bit of a break. Meteorologist Lindsay Anderson's breaking down that at 5:30.
And Lisa in the community is rallying behind a teen recently diagnosed with cancer. This morning, I sit down with his family and his wrestling coach as he vows to recover. That's coming up at 5:33.
Everyone deserves to be heard. This is a voice for everyone. KSHB 41. A voice for everyone. You're watching KSHB 41 News.
Welcome back. Just about to click over to 5:30 on your Monday morning. A local community coming together right now to support a young boy with leukemia.
He says that support is helping him through his challenge.
I'm thankful for everybody, and I'm thankful for everything that everyone has done.
Our Claire Bradshaw is sharing Keaton Miller's story this morning.
That's coming up this half hour, but first, some of us are waking up to find parking lots and roads still flooded. A lot of water from this weekend storms.
So much of this, so much damage from those storms that the National Weather Service is actually coming in the next few days just to evaluate things. Let's get to meteorologist Lindsay Anderson. Everybody waking up going, is this Monday going to be calm?
We've got the calm weather today, guys, for about one day, and then our storms are going to be ramping up again tomorrow evening. I know this is kind of the time of year.
Man.
Busy. I mean, our team was on it.
Already.
They were all covering these storms for you. I know there was a lot to break down last week. Unfortunately, this week we just have to be more aware. I mean, it's that time of year. As we exit April, enter May, you know, it does stay active. So it does look to be active this week as well.
Okay.
All right, Lindsay, thank you.
Stay up to date with the latest on our forecasts in this area and this time of year especially. Download our free KSHB 41 News app, especially like when we have those weekend storms and you may not be home or you're not close to things. Get that on your phone so you know exactly what's going on and know what to do to be prepared.
Daniela, thank you. 5:33 this morning. The Lee Summit community is rallying behind a teen recently diagnosed with cancer.
His name's Keaton Miller. He received his leukemia diagnosis less than a month ago. His dad estimates that he's already on thousands of prayer lists in that time. KSHB 41 News reporter Claire Bradshaw sat down with Keaton and those close to him to share his story. She joins us now live with that. Claire, good morning.
Good morning, guys. 16-year-old Keaton Miller's biggest passion in life is wrestling. So when he wasn't performing his best this past season, he really knew something was up. While he normally has crowds cheering him on the mat, that has switched to people cheering him on through chemotherapy.
Keaton Miller was in his prime on the wrestling mat. He's used to taking down big opponents. But when he struggled to breathe and couldn't recover from practice, he knew he needed to get to a doctor.
Even back then, though, in the middle of the wrestling season, we went and saw cardiologists, and we went and saw and got my lungs looked at and got my blood tested.
An hour, they do some blood diagnosis. In 3 hours, you're diagnosed with ALL, B-type leukemia, and 24 hours, you're in chemotherapy.
This opponent was never on Keaton's radar. And it wasn't on the doctors until his blood test was abnormal. In the weeks since his leukemia diagnosis, Keaton has stayed home trying to rest in between treatments. He isn't going to school or wrestling, but that doesn't mean he's alone in this fight. From meal trains to T-shirts to a GoFundMe.
It's unbelievable. The community, the family, people we don't know. It's just very touching and supportive.
You'll find his source of strength written on the walls of the wrestling room. Once you've wrestled, everything else in life is easy.
We're just behind him, and I've been just trying to be positive with him about, like, this is going to work out, you know, you've done hard things before.
And through the gratitude...
I'm in good shape, though. I'm doing good, and I'm thankful for everybody, and I'm thankful for everything that everyone has done.
There's one promise that Keaton has.
I'll be back.
On the wrestling mat?
I'll be back on the mat.
So Keaton's current leukemia treatment is chemo every Friday. They hope that puts him into remission within this first month, and after that, his dad said they've been told it can be up to 3 years of monthly maintenance.
My goodness, amazing to see the community rallying behind him and how he's handling all this. So David Miller said he wished he'd done more earlier on. Tell us about that.
Yeah, so he started going to the doctor during wrestling season back about wintertime.
When he wasn't feeling well.
When he wasn't feeling well. He was just really struggling to breathe. That was his biggest sign. But he's an athlete. His dad said he's in great shape, so they just thought it wasn't really anything to worry about. He says, parents, if you have an athlete and something's up, something is up, and you really need to advocate for them in the hospital and the doctor. It wasn't until his mom went through his most recent labs before they got the leukemia diagnosis and noticed things had changed significantly, and that's when they caught the leukemia.
Who would ever think this?
It's just like blurred me. Whatever he was talking about, how hour 1, hour 3, 24 hours later, like that. That's got to be a whirlwind for
the worst part, you guys. His sister just got married a couple weeks. So that week. A week later, he was diagnosed. So his family's really going through it, but they have so many people around him.
We're praying for him.
He's got a great outlook, though. I believe him when he says he's going to be back.
We're looking forward to it.
Yeah. Operation Barbecue Relief helping people in 3 of our neighboring states following this weekend storms. We'll tell you how coming up at 5:41.
Plus, Lenexa welcoming 4 new restaurants to its city center. We're going to show you the newest phase of development at 5:50.
Quick live look outside this morning. 50 degrees on your Monday morning. Lindsay Anderson says today is maybe the best looking day of the week weather-wise. We've got a full report coming up at 5:47.
All right, 5:39 this morning. Have you seen this video out of Omaha? The damage from the tornadoes over the weekend. Officials say there were homes flattened. A lot had significant damage. Also, several injuries reported. Fortunately, no deaths. The National Weather Service is still evaluating the number and the strength of the tornadoes. The agency saying that process could take up to 2 weeks. But look at this. There were similar scenes in Iowa. Tornadoes ripped through several communities there. Just awful.
God, every time I see something like that, I've been on scenes like that, you've been on scenes like that, and I always wonder, where do you even start? Like, what's step one in that situation? The path of destruction in Oklahoma also, after more than a dozen tornadoes touched down there on Saturday. 4 people died in Oklahoma, more than 100 people hurt. Tornadoes also caused, of course, widespread power outages, damage to homes, businesses, tore them apart. Oklahoma's governor declared a state of emergency in 12 counties after those storms. And now crews, like we're talking about, just working to clear debris and assess exactly what kind of damage they're dealing with.
And Kansas City-based organization Operation Barbecue, which has helped just so many people over the last 12 years, started because of a tornado here. They're sending relief and help in Nebraska, Iowa, and Oklahoma. In Omaha, the nonprofit teamed up with Porky Butts Barbecue to give out hot meals to people. I mean, you saw the homes there. A hot meal can mean so much.
Yes.
Anybody that is here to give a helping hand, we make sure that they are fed, they have their proteins, vegetables.
Because they have enough else to worry about, right?
They do.
Yeah, Operation Barbecue Relief, always looking for volunteers. You can learn how to get involved or donate to the organization that got started because of Joplin. That was their first deployment. They can find that at operationbarbecuerelief.org.
Yeah, grateful for them and what they do for our communities and for the surrounding areas. Absolutely. We've got more thunderstorms heading our way tomorrow evening. Right now, threat level 2 out of 5, highlighted in yellow. Kansas City is in that, especially for areas northwest. We'll talk more about the arrival time after this.
And still to come, you know those things you picked up in the Scouts? We're sharing the story of a local boy who had to put his Cub Scout skills to the test.
I think I could help someone, but I didn't think it would be that young, or like a few months ago.
At 5:54, we have details from the moment he says he will never forget.
And the next phase of development at Lenexa's City Center is bringing a new taste to the area. We'll tell you about Restaurant Row coming up.
5:45 this morning. Welcome back. Let's look at your top stories this morning.
Kansas State Senate will vote today on overriding a veto from Governor Laura Kelly on a state tax plan. It includes cuts and restructuring regarding income taxes, property taxes, sales taxes, and would cost the state over $1.5 billion over the next 3 years. It passed unanimously in the House and had bipartisan support in the Senate. But Governor Kelly argues it jeopardizes the state's future fiscal stability. The Senate needs 2/3 to vote in favor of the bill to override her veto.
A committee of the Unified Government of Wyandotte County will review the first details of a residential proposal plan tonight. Have you seen these renderings? It's a 12-story tower that would add 500 new units, 600 residents or so. The $74 million plan calls for a mixed-use redevelopment. This is for properties near 4th Street and Minnesota Avenue, downtown KCK. If approved, construction would start next April. The meeting about this is coming up tonight at 5.
Tensions on college campuses all across the country continue to rise. Demonstrators demand that schools cut financial ties with Israel as a sign of support for Palestinian human rights.
NBC's Bree Jackson has the latest on the protests and President Biden's negotiations with the Prime Minister of Israel.
Pro-Palestinian protests continue at college campuses across the country. Students calling for an end to the ongoing Israel-Hamas war and pushing for schools to stop funding companies tied to Israel. While many of these protests remain peaceful, there are concerns about safety and hate speech.
People have a right to protest and make their views known, and almost, overwhelming percentages of people do that peacefully, but there are those who intimidate or harass others.
I think it's a dangerous situation. You said pro-Palestinian. There's also anti-Semitism, which is completely unacceptable.
President Biden faces criticism from within his own party, people upset with his support for Israel.
Right now, what Netanyahu's right-wing, extremist, and racist government is doing is unprecedented in the modern history of warfare.
Secretary of State Antony Blinken returning to the Middle East today as part of the administration's push to broker a ceasefire deal.
We want it to last for about 6 weeks. It would allow for all those hostages to get out and, of course, to allow for easier aid access to places in Gaza.
Families of those still held by Hamas urging action after Hamas released this video showing 2 hostages, including American-Israeli Keith Siegel. The undated video marks the first time they've been seen during more than 200 days of captivity. In Washington, Bree Jackson, NBC News.
Here's your latest Kansas City forecast from meteorologist Lindsay Anderson.
All right, everybody, it is 5:48 this morning.
Daniela, thank you. The Lenexa City Center is growing even more. To balance the apartments and office space in the area, they're making space for new restaurants to join the project.
KSHB 41 News reporter Olivia Acree joins us live from City Center to tell us what's coming in this next phase of development. They've got a lot going on down there, Olivia.
That's right, guys. Yes, places like the Johnson County Public Library and the Lenexa Public Market have popped up across City Center over the last few years. Now filling some of the last pieces of undeveloped land at City Center is Lenexa's Restaurant Row. The developer Kopek & Brooks just filled the last spot, so I talked to them and a local business bringing a new taste to Lenexa ahead of the Phase 1.
The massive mixed-use campus off 435 in Lenexa is becoming home to a new restaurant concept this summer, Restaurant Row. Keith Kopek with Kopek & Brooks said he's been looking forward to this project for nearly 20 years.
The city selected Kopek & Brooks, and 15 to 20 years later, here we are.
From cornfields to new construction, now Kopek & Brooks is helping carry out the vision of a new downtown.
Really a new downtown. In Lenexa was a challenge that we were excited about.
Phase 1 brings 4 new restaurants to Lenexa, one of which got its start in Lawrence.
Fresh Mediterranean started here in this store, and it's a fast casual Mediterranean concept.
Stephen Jacobs with Fresh Mediterranean, or Zug, said Lawrence residents and KU students have enjoyed Zug for years. Now they're adding the larger KC Metro to the mix.
We do have 2 more locations planned, one by KU Med Center on 39th Street, and then also one in Lenexa City Center.
From a gas station to 3 locations by 2025, Kopaken attributes some of Zug's success to what he called Kansas City's love affair with gas station restaurants.
Joe's Kansas City started in a gas station, and Kansas City has a love affair with it, and perhaps that's a way of thinking about the Mediterranean Lawrence restaurant.
Again, phase 1 of Restaurant Row should be complete in the summer, and that is including Zug and a bunch of other restaurants. And also coming very soon, before the end of the year, our new headquarters for Kiewit, an Advent Health Hospital across the street, and in the 87th Street median, a new hotel. So a very exciting time for Lenexa.
Bustling and growing.
Absolutely. My family and I live not far from over there. We've been over there many, many times to see some of the cool stuff going on outside. We've been covering this development in Lenexa since 2017, when the city first announced they wanted to build something like this, and it just keeps going here.
Just one part of a larger 20-year plan the city of Lenexa is working on. You say 2017. We're well into 20 years now. Right. Can you believe that? Last month, the city released their comprehensive plan for the next 2 decades. Over the next 20 years, the city believes their population will grow from 60,000 to 110,000. And the city's community development director told us in March he believes 25% of the city can still be developed. That's what this plan addresses.
We just want to keep a good thing going and build those reasonable land use patterns so that the city can continue to grow.
Wow. So there's going to be a public hearing on the city's comprehensive plan on June 3rd. After the Planning Commission votes, the City Council will consider adopting that. We'll keep track of that. We'll keep you posted. All right, good news for everyone is our effort to share the good stuff happening in our community, and what's better than a heroic rescue?
Absolutely. KSHB 41 News reporter Leslie Delisbour introduces us to an 11-year-old Cub Scout whose skills helped him save a woman's life.
Once I got out of water, I went over to my mom and I was like, I saved the lady, and then I repeated it in my head, and I was like, yeah, I saved the lady.
11-year-old Alex Taylor feels like a hero, he says, after saving a woman's life while on vacation at Waikiki Beach in Hawaii with his family.
So we were on the beach, and there's like a wall, so you wouldn't the current wouldn't pull you into the ocean, but there's a break in the wall for circulation, and so I was staying by the wall and with the other kids playing.
Then he sprung into action after hearing a cry for help, using the skills he learned as a Cub Scout at the pool a few years ago.
I heard a lady yell for help because it goes pretty deep, like 9-10 feet, near the break in the wall, and she's getting pulled out, and grabbed her arm and stuck it under my arm and swam over to the shore.
Without a second thought, he realized what he did.
I was proud of myself and kind of excited because we got to go back to our hotel and eat candy.
But he wasn't the only one who thought this act was heroic. After becoming a Boy Scout recently, he was honored with a Heroism Award, now one of about 6,000 with this honor. With summer around the corner, he has a message for his fellow Boy Scouts when learning new safety tactics at the pool.
I know you guys might want to get to the pool, but it could help you, and then you can get some pretty cool stuff afterwards, like getting interviewed by the news like me.
In Blue Springs, Leslie Delisbour, KSHB 41 News.
Oh, my goodness, the innocence in his voice, but all the magnitude of what he did. He saved someone.
I'm trying to picture what he said if I went over and told my parents I saved the lady. I'm sorry, say again what you did, son?
Can you explain that?
Man.
That is amazing.
Really cool.
How cool is that?
Wow.
He's a cutie.
Yeah.
Yes.
Sweet. Lots of puddle playing yesterday. My son out on his bike, riding around, might find a couple lingering puddles out there even today, but luckily it's so much calmer, so much quieter. 72 with some sunshine, but here we go again. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, chances of thunderstorms. Really fine-tuning Tuesday evening. I think Tuesday evening, Tuesday night is going to be our best chance for some strong to severe storms. Wednesday, that risk likely staying west of here, and the storms should weaken, but it still means we're going to get rain and thunder, maybe just not that severity as other folks to our north and west.
All right, going to keep an eye on all through the week.
Absolutely.
Thank you very much.
All right, Washington could be on the brink of another battle over who should be Speaker of the House. Our political expert is breaking down what's at stake coming up on KSHB 41 News at 6.
Plus, as gold prices hit historic highs, we're looking at whether you should be looking at buying or selling yours. That's all new at 6 a.m. Quick live look outside, getting our first bit of sunrise this morning. A beautiful start to your Monday. Like Lindsay said, today's the day to plan some outside activities if you can and don't have standing water in your yard. KSHB 41 News Today continues after the break.